I've had a problem. I don't know if anybody else has noticed. You definitely have if you've watched my stuff. The quality of my Doom Eternal battle mode videos and pretty much all my videos I've ever made kind of have this pixely look to them, right? And that's because the bitrate and the encoding can't keep up with the movement and how fast-paced is everything in the game. I have the same problem whenever you try to record or stream Rocket League as well. So over the past 2 months, I've kind of scoured the internet, talked to friends, talked to YouTubers, talked to all kinds of different people, and done a ton of research on what's the absolute best way to get the max quality and make your videos on YouTube, especially for like Doom Eternal or Rocket League, two games that have this issue heavily, how to get the absolute maximum quality possible. Almost to like whenever you watch the video, it looks like it does when you play the game, you know? So, first thing, I'd like to give a huge shout out to my friend Ryan, Franticcartoon. He helped me out a lot with this for how to get like really good raw footage, and can't thank him enough for that because that got the ball rolling, and then I figured out the rest from there. But the initial problem was getting raw footage. So, another thing too, I really want to put this video out there to get more Doom YouTubers out there. I need more people to start. Like, if you've ever thought of going out and making content, and you're like, man, I really want to make battle mode videos, but I don't know if I have it in me, or I don't know how to get the channel set up. I don't know how to start recording and editing and stuff. That's why this video is here. I want so badly for more Doom YouTubers to pop up and more people to make content for Doom, whether it's battle mode or the campaign or Doom 2016 or anything. I love the Doom community. It's great. So I'm here to help you get the absolute maximum quality for your content, so you're not starting right out of the gate with the stuff I did, you know, with the pixelation and low resolution, and it just looks weird. Even at 1080p 60 FPS, it doesn't look like 60 FPS, and it doesn't look like 1080p, and it looks kind of garbage, and you're like, man, that doesn't look great. This will be something you can be proud of, and something that you can be like, wow, that's my first video on YouTube, and it looks great. So, the first thing I'm going to say is, what is the best software to do this on? And I'm going to go with OBS. OBS Studio is a free open source software you can download on the internet. If you go on Google and you type in OBS Studio, right? Boom. There it is. OBS Studio. You go on here, go Windows, Mac, Linux, whatever the heck operating system you're on, download OBS software or Studio. Do not get Streamlabs OBS. I cannot stress that enough. If you're trying to record, get OBS Studio. Little more complicated to set up, not too much more, but it's way more optimized than Streamlabs OBS, and I highly recommend this over that. So here's what it looks like when you install it. You got OBS Studio. You got your sources down here, which is just like if you want to capture your game or your webcam or whatever you want to capture and put on your stream, you put here, right? These are your scenes, so if you switch between them, you can, you know, have different scenes. Like this one has my camera and it has my follow notification. That's it. This one is for my stream, but I don't have a game on, so nothing shows up. And then this one is like just my display, so it's just my desktop. And whatever you put in the sources for each scene is what happens. And you can have hotkeys and switch between scenes, right? Okay, so we're not talking about streaming today. We're just talking about recording. First things first, to get the absolute best raw footage. That's what we're going for first. The best raw footage. Open up OBS Studio and go to settings. First off, you're going to want to go to your general. Don't touch anything here. This is all perfectly fine. Stream, that's literally just for streaming. You can sign in to your Twitch, and then you can start streaming to your Twitch, whatever. Or YouTube Mixer. Nah, it's dead. You can't do that. So the big thing we're going to go to is our output. This is just, I'm just going to show you all of my recording settings, and then show you how great of quality the videos is. Actually, the gameplay that was at the start of this video while I was talking is just straight high quality Doom, right? I mean, it's just great. It's great. That's what it's going to look like. So you go to recording, right? You're not streaming. Streaming, these are two separate things. If you stream, it'll use these settings. If you record, it'll use these settings, right? So on here, you want to have, where is it? Down here. You want to have CBR, your bit rate. See, you have to also have a pretty beefy computer for this. So, like, if you have a lower-end computer, you can lower the settings and still get decent quality footage. But I highly recommend, if you have a decent computer, like I have a 2070, an RTX 2070, not a Super, just a normal RTX 2070, and a Ryzen 7 2700, with like 32 gigabytes of RAM, if that's a good benchmark for anybody. So I record at 60,000 kilobytes per second. I have my keyframe interval set to 2. Preset max quality. Make sure that's there. That's huge. Profile high. Have look ahead checked off. Have cycle visual tuning checked off. GPU 0. Max B-frames 2. All of that set. Hit apply. And also up here, make sure you have your encoder set to NVIDIA NVENC H264 new. That is your graphics card does the encoding for the footage that you're recording, and that's way better than CPU, which was like H264, and that was it. So make sure you have NVIDIA NVENC, and you can only have this setting if you have a NVIDIA graphics card. But if you have an AMD graphics card, there is an alternative setting that will be there. I don't know what it's called, but if you have an AMD graphics card, just look for their setting. It'll do the same thing. It'll encode through the GPU. Make sure you have the output to 1920 by 1080, but I mean, you're not going to have this rescaled anyway. You're just probably going to go by 1080p. Unless you have a 1440p monitor, then I don't recommend recording in 1440p. And I'll get to into why that is in a minute. So you want all these settings, hit apply, go to audio, right? Audio, you can just like, yeah. I mean, you can just set up your microphone. Like I just use my Blue Yeti. My speakers, I actually, I run my sound through my Blue Yeti too. Really weird. My headphones are plugged into my mic, and that's how I hear things. Real bizarre, but that's how I do it. So I just have those two things set. I don't touch anything else in here. Video, this is huge. If you are above 1080p, but your computer is pretty decent, but it's not something nuts. You don't have a Threadripper and a 3080 Ti or something, right? Is that even a card, 3080 Ti? I don't even know. Probably. So I highly recommend just having your output resolution set to 1920 by 1080. Unless you have like some weird 4:3 aspect ratio, then I'm going to question why you're even trying. So I have a 1080p monitor. It's 144 hertz. And I have the output as 1080p. You want the output to be 1080p. If you have a 1440p monitor, but like still an okay computer, you're going to want to do 1080p anyway, because your computer might struggle and not get as high of quality and smooth frames if you start recording at 1440p. So the output scaled resolution, you always want to have 1080p. Even if this is like 2560 by 1440, downscale it to 1920 by 1080. So record in 1080p. Make sure your downscale filter is Lansco sharpen scaling, 36 samples. And this is the big part. This is one of the things Ryan helped me out with, Franticcartoon, that was huge. And it was such a big game changer. Fractional FPS value. Set this to fractional FPS value. It'll say common integer. Or no, it'll say... shoot, what did it say? It says like common FPS values or something. You want to switch that to fractional FPS value. And for the numerator, you want to have 110, and for the denominator, you want 1, right? And this means you'll get 110 frames per second. That's awesome. That's nuts. You know, and your video will actually be in 110 frames per second. You're not going to upload it to YouTube in 110 frames per second, but this gives your video a lot more, like the raw footage, it'll have a lot more frames to work with, and it can pick and choose which ones it wants to get rid of to get a smooth, nice, creamy looking video, right? So if you record in 1080p at 60,000, that's the biggest thing, 60,000 plus bitrate. If you have a worse computer, maybe not do 110, maybe do 100 or 90 or 80. Anything above 60 will look smoother than 60, right? So even if you have 70 and your computer can handle 70, record at 70 frames per second. Don't ever record at 60 though, because it doesn't look 60. It's so dumb. And then the output, if your computer's still struggling and you have like say 70 FPS set, maybe change your bit rate to like 40,000 or 30,000. 30,000 is the absolute lowest I would go for the max quality possible. Remember, this is a tutorial for just getting max possible quality if you have a pretty good, decent computer. If you have a lower grade computer, just keep lowering the frames and the bit rate until it runs really smooth and you look at the footage and you're like, wow, this looks great, right? So that's about it there. Hotkeys you can set up for starting streaming, stop streaming, start recording, stop recording. I recommend setting this up. I'm just lazy and I just hit the button. I don't actually do that. I used to do that. Advanced, I wouldn't touch anything in here except for maybe the color space. Change this to 709 and the color range to partial. Make sure it's partial. You could do full. Either one works. And that's it for the actual settings in OBS to get the raw footage. And when you finally get all of that done, and you go in and you set up a source and put game and then select the game and start your game and hit start recording, right? Your footage is going to look so crispy and clear as long as your computer can handle the settings. And here's an example, very quickly, of what that looks like. So let's say we have right here. So this is stuff I recorded. It's on YouTube. I'll show you that in a second. It looks like a high FPS. Looks great. It's not pixely really anywhere. It looks pretty smooth. But here's the thing. It actually looks better when uploaded to YouTube because of what I do in Premiere Pro. You know? But that's just it. So that's what the raw footage looks like, and it looks really solid. Alright, so now that we have really good raw footage from OBS Studio, right? We have a folder selected to do it. Like I literally have a folder just called unedited footage. This is the video I'm recording currently, right? So whenever you're done, you have your raw footage. It looks great, and you're like, wow, it looks great. Okay, now you're gonna want to upscale from 1080p to 1440p, and this is why. This chart right here explains it. So at 1080p, 60 FPS, you can actually only have a bit rate uploaded to YouTube of 15 megabits per second. Megabytes, megabits, whatever. Whereas 1440p, you can have up to 30 megabits a second. So it's double the bit rate, pretty much double the quality. 30 megabits a second is plenty to get really good quality on YouTube. But you're only going to get that bit rate if the resolution of your video is 1440p. I know. So dumb. I really wish it was 1080p had 30. 15 is way too low for 1080p. So the reason we had it recording in 1080p is just so your computer could run it and handle it. If for some reason you can record in 1440p at 110 frames a second, 90 frames a second, whatever, and everything goes smooth plus max graphics on game, whatever. Take your 3090 and walk away from me. You're nuts. You don't need me. So now we need to upscale the footage from 1080p to 1440p, right? So there's a program called vocoder, something like that, and it only works for Adobe Premiere and Vegas Pro. And Virtual Dub 2, I have no idea what that is, but apparently it's supported. Vocoder is a software that utilizes your GPU better whenever you're encoding in your editing software like Premiere or Vegas Pro. It renders everything faster, but also makes the quality much, much higher in better time, you know? It's literally like 10 times faster than using like a normal encoder that's built into like Premiere or Vegas. It's fantastic. Although if you have a different editing software that's not Virtual Dub 2 or Adobe Premiere Pro or Vegas Pro, then you're out of luck for this one. I don't really know any other software, but this is the main one I know that's fantastic. I use Adobe Premiere. Everything works great. So you're going to want to download vocoder right here from the mirror. And then you're also, if you have Premiere Pro, you're going to want to download the connector, which connects vocoder to Adobe Premiere. That's why you have to download both and run both. So you want to install vocoder first. Whenever you download it, run the application like normal. It'll do everything. And then get connector for Adobe Premiere and install that after vocoder, and it'll connect it to your Premiere. Or same thing with Vegas Pro. Download your version, if you have version 12 through 17 of Vegas Pro, download that one, use that one. Same thing with version 18 of Vegas Pro. They have a special one just for that. And then there's Virtual Dub 2. No one's ever heard of that. If anyone uses that, I'm sorry. I don't know. I've never even heard of it. But yeah, that's vocoder, and I'll show you how to use that when we get into the program. Another thing I wanted to talk about real quick before we show the editor, YouTube also has a thing called an encoder, just like whenever you try to encode your videos from your editor. Well, it also has an encoder built into the player. And if you look right here, if you right click on any video, you can do this on any video on all of YouTube. Right click on the screen, hit stats for nerds, and this will pop up right here, right? Shows a buffer health, connection speed, network activity, all this great stuff. The big thing we're looking for is codecs, right? So the codec for this YouTube video, which this is my upscaled 1440p successful 60 FPS test footage. It looks like you're playing the game, right? This is my first like super successful high quality video I've uploaded that looks absolutely just astounding. It has the encoder VP09. That's all you need to look at. If you have VP09 on a video, the quality is going to be much higher. The pixelation is going to be way less. It's just going to look better. Even with the same bitrate as before, if you have the better encoder, that's it, you know? It's just better. The only way to get this for sure is to upload in, what? 1440p. That's so huge. So not only do you get double the bitrate, you also get the better codec. I keep calling it an encoder. It's a codec, sorry. My brain is like sideways. This codec is fantastic. It's great. Way higher quality. You'll notice no issues with it at all. Or if you look at my drank and ate an entire jar of pickles video, right click that, stats for nerds. Ooh, this codec is AVC1. And if you notice in the video, my camera pixelates a lot. And so does the game. Even like just the background, just this whole video. There's any kind of motion, it just kind of pixelates. And it's not good. AVC1, AV anything. If it has AVC or AV, it's bad. It's the bad codec. Congratulations. RIP. Every single time you upload a video that's not 1440p, you have a random chance to either get VP09 or AVC AV, right? All right, so now let's open Premiere Pro, because that's what I use. It's like 20 bucks a month. It's not too bad. I mean, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but I mean, it's great. It does exactly what I need it to do. Who am I kidding? Premiere Pro is just fantastic. I love it. So, if you installed vocoder right, vocoder, however you pronounce it, it'll be in here, and I'll show you how to use it. So right now, we're going to open new project, whatever you want, you know, big whoop. Load up Premiere like normal, like you're going to make a project, you're going to make a video, and this is, I'm just showing you right now what my output settings are, and how to upscale to 1440p using vocoder. So, let's say I took the test footage that I had before, right? Here's this test footage. Throw it in here. Let's say I edit it, do whatever. It's all 1080p. It's great, 60 FPS. Looks great in here. Haha, play it real quick. Oh, wow, look at that. It's like fantastic. Oh, wow, it's moving. Moving and grooving and cruising and bruising. So, that's all set up. You're ready to export, right? So, you go to File, you go to Export, go to Media. Whenever you're all done with your video, you're ready to export, you're ready to make it 1440p, great. I already have a preset set, so all I would do is just hit export, boom, I'm done. But, so what you're going to do, now that you got vocoder, right, this name changes based on the version. So if you're a way later version than 8.0 or whatever the heck it is on the website right now, like mine will say vocoder CS6 compatible. But, so you want to go in format, you want to scroll all the way down, you don't want H.264, no, 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 no. This is what you're encoding with. So you want vocoder, CS6 compatible, or vocoder whatever. That should be your only option, is just some sort of vocoder. Click that, and then you're going to go down here, and you're going to go to effects, and you look at all this. You're like, okay, great. Now this is where it starts. This is where the fun begins. You want to have these exact settings if you want like the same quality as what I'm doing. So I change my width and my height to 2560 by 1440. That instantly sets the resolution to 1440p, right? That's the big thing we want. We get double the bitrate, so we get 30 megabits per second, and we guaranteed get the VP09 better encoder. So just overall, just those two things alone, humongous. So I would have your aspects at the square pixels. You'd almost always use square pixels. I don't know any other situation where you use any of this stuff unless you're doing something weird. But yeah, you want square pixels. Frame rate, set it to 60. This downscales your 110, 120, 144. You know, you can set it to your monitor rate whenever you record and get your raw footage, and it'll look absolutely phenomenal, right? So you're going to downscale it to 60, no matter what the high frame rate is. But when you downscale from a higher frame rate to 60 frame rate, instead of recording at 60 and then just shitting it out of your export at 60, it looks way smoother, way smoother. So set your frame rate to 60. I'm downscaling from 110 frames per second to 60 frames per second. Field order, I have none. Progressive. Color range, I'm using full, 0 to 255. And my color space is 709. Remember, whenever in OBS I was showing the color space, I was over here in the settings, and I was like, okay, so we're going to be in, where is it? Advanced, right? And I said set your color space to 709 instead of 608 or whatever it is. It's 60 something. I use 709. So on here, I'm going to use 709. If you didn't use 709, use 608 or whatever it is, that's standard definition. 709 would be high definition, which, so I highly recommend doing 709. You have better colors, it'd look great, wonderful, fantastic. I have no check, no check, no check. I have use previews checked. This uses previews in Adobe Premiere that you've already rendered out to help the encoder encode things faster. So if it already like encoded and processed a lot of this information that was just sitting in this taskbar and you've ran it a bunch of times, it already recognizes that and uses it to speed up the process. I have time interpolation, frame sampling. All right, audio. All you're going to do here is just make sure you have 48K HC and just match your sample rate that you have in OBS. I use stereo. Now for vocoder, this is huge. This is the big mundo moment, right? So in here, you're going to have format, and it's going to say like none, or there's going to be nothing here. It's just going to be blank. So in Adobe Premiere, I don't know how you do this on Vegas, but so there's format. You hit configure. You want to configure the vocoder. So this is what it looks like. And right now, I have the encoder set. You want to make sure you hit the drop down for the codec, and make sure you hit H.264 NVIDIA NVENC, like the same exact codec that you have set in OBS, which that is your graphics card. So it uses your GPU and the encoder built into the GPU to actually encode the video. It's great. Presets, I just have it set to good quality. That's what was there. I mean, it's great. Options for video. So you're on the video tab and you go to options. Here's my GPU. It lists it off here. And this is what you're going to have. Set your preset to fast, your profile to high, your strategy to variable bitrate. Variable bitrate takes the slower moments that aren't moving very fast and doesn't have as high of a bitrate and saves resources to use at faster moving places in the video. So you move faster, it uses more bitrate. You move slower, and it doesn't change the pixels as fast. It uses less bitrate. Variable bitrate is highly recommended. You could also use constant bitrate, or you could also use constant quantizer. I don't use either one of those. Constant bitrate is a constant bitrate through the entire video, so no matter how you're moving, slow, fast, anything, it's going to use the exact same amount of bitrate the whole video. And that can also increase the file size too. So just I do variable. So since the max bitrate on YouTube allowed for a 1440p video is 30 megabytes a second, this is in kilobits right here. It's measured in kilobits. Set your bitrate and max bitrate to 30,000, right? That 30,000 is the exact same as 30 megabits. So YouTube's max bitrate for 1440p, that's what? 30 megabits. So yeah, render it at 30 megabits. And there you go. You render in the highest quality possible. You don't want to render in a higher quality, right? You don't want higher bit rate than what YouTube will accept, because then it compresses it. And then it's just going to look a little bit worse, you know, than if you just did it at 30. 30,000 is plenty. Buffer size, I have it set to 30,000. Constant quality, I have it set to 0, which means it's automatic. That means like constant quality, you can change it anywhere from 0 to 51. Whatever value is set, I think the higher the number, the worse the quality. The lower the number, the better the quality. It might be backwards. It might be the other way around. You can mess around with it and test it out a bunch. No matter what, so let's say 16 is like mediocre quality. It'll have that exact same quality and try to keep that through the entire video. It'll have very constant quality. That's why it's called that. Force 2-pass means that whenever it encodes the video, it forces 2-pass encoding, which is like 1 pass means it passes over the whole video once, reads over everything and encodes it, and then it's done. 2-pass, when you force 2-pass, means it does it once and then it does it again, because it can, like the first time helped it recognize how it can go over it the second time and encode it better and get the quality up in certain places, you know? So it pretty much just doubles the encoding. Pretty much doubles your time, everything. RC look ahead, I have that checked off, set that to 16. That's great. Number of B frames, set that to 3. Have it checked off, and that's all you're going to do in here. Side data, I didn't touch that. Filters, don't touch that. Audio, I would recommend keeping it AAC, FFmpeg. You can also do MP3 or some other stuff, but don't. Just keep it AAC. Don't touch anything else. Options here, I have my bitrate because I want the audio quality to be pretty decent. 320 kilobits a second, low complexity, that's it. No filters, great. Output, you want to output it as an MP4. Don't do MKV, please. Big mistake. No, do MP4. YouTube likes MP4. It's great. Don't do an MOV. QuickTime. Come on. AVI? No. You want MPEG. MPEG 4, MP.4, or .mp4, right? Get that. Don't have enable fast start checked. Then settings, English, a couple other languages, not very much, whatever. And there's the about, and that's it, right? That's vocoder. You hit OK, it's done, and then you'll see this. You'll have whatever settings you set right here, right? So you have format, and then the settings you set, and that's vocoder. That's set. It's done. Captions, nothing. Publish. I mean, I don't touch this either. So that's all you need to do for the encoder settings. So once you're done with that, you click right here for the output name. This is only on Adobe Premiere. I don't know how it is in Vegas. Output name, I click this, and this is where I save it to. You know, so I type in the name of the file I want to save it to, make sure it's an MP4, go in there, hit save, and then it'll be right here. Make sure you have export video and export audio both checked, and you should be done. Before you hit export, though, what you should really do is save your preset. So I save my preset up here with this button, and I named it 2K, which is 1440p, you know, 2K, 1440p, all videos render. So just render all my videos with this encoder right here, this preset. It's great. Once you save that, you have it all done. You don't ever need to change those settings again. You have a preset built in. You get on here, make sure vocoder is set, hit the preset for vocoder, boom, you're done. So just come in here, edit your videos, upscale to 1440p, all the same stuff every time. You'll get the absolute maximum quality on YouTube. So once you're done, you hit export, and it'll export the video. It'll render it. It's about 1-for-1. It's like real-time rendering if you have a decent computer. So with vocoder, I'm telling you, it's so fast. So if your video is 1 minute and 30 seconds long, it usually takes 1 minute and 30 seconds to encode your video and shit it out. It's great. That's going to be it for this tutorial. All you have to do is go on YouTube, upload that file that you just exported from Premiere Pro or Vegas or whatever the heck program you're using. Hope you could find a 1440p encoder that's great and uses your GPU. That's the main thing. You want to be able to use your GPU to encode. No matter what software you're on, always try to find some sort of plugin or anything that'll let you use your GPU to encode. It's way faster, way more efficient, makes it look way higher quality. It's great. So just remember the biggest things. You want to have a 1440p video, record your raw footage at like 60,000 plus bit rate, and make sure you're above 60 frames per second when you're recording. You know, you want to make sure you're like 70, 80, 90, 100, 110. I do 110 because that's the sweet spot. My game runs at 110 plus while I'm recording at 110 frames. If I go to 110 frames, my game runs at 90 frames a second, which doesn't make sense. You know, you can't record 120 frames of your 90 frames. It just doesn't work. And your encoder will slow down really bad, and it'll be choppy. If your video looks choppy, it looks like it's like 3 FPS or something, you need to just lower the FPS or lower the bit rate or lower both, because your computer can't keep up with the game and the encoding of OBS. That's going to be it for this. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, go check out Ryan, otherwise known as Franticcartoon. Thank you so much to him for helping me find this out. He's the one who helped me find out you want to record in above 60 FPS. You know, you could record at 144, 110 like I was talking about, and you also want to record at a really high bit rate, like 60,000, 80,000, 100,000, some crazy amount, you know. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my Battle Mode videos. Have a good one.